My Imaginarium is empowerment, hands down. What I see the fundamental issue is we build an outer ego into people when we're talking about analyzing the past and looking into the future, that the now battles for a presence in our minds. And my entire goal as an altruist here has nothing to do with in any way compensation. A gift that comes from the heart without request and without expecting it is the only true reward in life. That's all we ever really get. And by helping people make themselves more palatable, and then bringing a little silence and bringing them into the now and empowering them to trust. If it starts with us three, fine. I'm hoping we can grow to thousands of elder souls working to help break down the death of this false dualistic narrative. And it's self-fulfilling. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the thing here is the human race is staring at its extinction under the guise of being vessels of consumption beyond the capacities of our biosphere. And it's not negotiable. It's not. And a lot of people are tuned into the fact that the narrative, Daniel's version of Death of the Narrative, simply has no relevance. You factor in income inequality, where people are just completely taking advantage of the rest of folks and not giving them the wholeness of upward mobility and foreseeable visions of themselves. And it becomes like Nikki said, where you set a timeline to something and expect results, and when it doesn't happen when you want it to happen, you feel either failure or you feel misdirected. And this just simply isn't true. The curiosities lead you to exploring your potential. And the more people in the world that will take the time out of their pursuit of self to empower others to become, the quicker we will deal with an earth that is screaming at us to just participate, that we just got to get involved. And it starts with how we shop, and it moves into how we learn, and then it moves into how we honor each other, and where we get our merit from in a very reclusive social environment. And finding out then becomes a very natural process who we are, because our outer ego image is no longer the driving force in our day-to-day existence. What we were and what we're becoming, and when under the guise of the outer ego, ceases to be the point of reference. And that's the part B for me, is in the so-called fake news world, with so much disinformation and so much pointed and directed by usually an economic intention, information being placed into the world, people simply have no one to go to for measurable truths, even in education and science and health and food. medicine. It's sort of carte blanche to say whatever you want and convince people to back it up with something. Well, Lee Travis's wiki being in functionality says that these universal truths shall dictate the pace and form of our evolution. So the things that are just fundamentally undeniable and observable will lead us to conquer the false ego self that is ingrained in us from the moment mom and dad have to go out into the world to bring the dollar into the house, and then the babysitter or the TV starts to raise us, and then the frustrations of life set in and the parents, and third person, we absorb those informations, and then we start to build this protective self. And it just grows and grows through sports, through one-upmanship in looks, in relationships, and work. Everywhere out there is this highly competitive, divisive, conquer at any cost methodology about life. And that is coming to an end. That has seen its time. And now the cohesive and supportive environments that are provided will be where we're going, like we learned from the Conveneers conference that we attended, Daniel. So I personally intend to get more involved with them, with Bioneers, with science and non-duality, and also looking to reach into the undergrad accreditation course in consciousness, and try and make some inroads with the professors at the University of Washington, Bothell, that have finally brought this into the reality science and of the fifth dimensional energy, the ether, the thing that is all things but completely undefined in our reality, the thing that every single one of us feels and experiences on a much more deeper level than all of the extremely superficial, as Maynard says in Tool, the blinding, festering neon distraction that is our reality when it comes to everything around us, to keep us from finding the fulfillment that lies within us that's free. And when we talk about finding that fulfillment in the modern sense, it always begs around partying or outer experiences. And once you get through the dark night of the soul that we touched on in an earlier program, and start to delve into getting past how the ego has led you into a really kind of destructive reality, the drinking is damaging your chemistry, or smoking too much, or thinking the negative thoughts, or pining over how you're going to beat out somebody else to get the raise, or all these things that are keeping us from solutions thinking, from cohesive practices, that as opposed to worrying about what you're going to get from something, we need to focus on what we're going to give from something. And when that level of thinking sets in, and that level of beauty sets into our life, then all of it automatically flows. And thirdly, for me, the Imaginarium needs to be a resource. So I would notate the great groups, the Infinite Imaginarium, Nikki's Imaginarium, Set Consciousness Free, the Ecology of Ideas. But tying these resources, these 15, 17-minute videos by Sheldrake, Deepak Chopra, all these pioneers, scientists, the list goes on and on, where you can be this person who you are now, and you can turn on one of these 20-minute videos and completely blow what you think reality is out of the water. All of a sudden you realize this way higher, deeper interpersonal power that I think we're here to introduce people to. And I really hope that when the new upgrades come in January from that Bill has been talking about, and John, about how the video is going to improve and change. I have really no idea what to expect from that. Ultimately, I'm hoping we will make people feel so comfortable and trusting in their experience in the Imaginarium that their curiosity will be just built, and that they know that they have a place that they can come and count on. I have a question about this, or I read this or watched this, and or do you have any ideas about this, or can you lead me to resources here? And just give people the tools to make decisions. No directed input. No, this is the way it is. Never, ever from me. I am only here for you to discover your capacity, for you to fall asleep blissfully and wake up in awe of the world that you live in and not suffer within that. I think we've got a whole work culture and a whole outer media culture that just absolutely teaches you that the cunning, sort of kitschy, spiteful, comeback kind of mentality about the world, this unauthentic, make you laugh out of some sort of funky thing that you thought of that you thought was really interesting thing. You can only take that so far, and it desensitizes people. And like you said, Dan, about your poetry, when you put your heart on the plate and say, this is me being me and expressing my love and being open, I'm transparent to you. It's difficult. It's very difficult to do that. And like you said, we used to have just people writing poetry, short stories, publishing their art, and you saw a huge pullback in different waves of migration, because that sort of cunning comment culture became the way you got market share. It became the way people were exposed to you, because you made up some little quip or some little meme that made someone laugh, and you could share that with someone else and therefore be that person too. Well, I think the Imaginarium sort of flips that on its head and says, you can make a supportive comment and feel confident that it's well received, and not that constructive criticism is a one-way road. It's all love your neighbor and blah, blah, blah type of thing. Not all of it comes that way, but it all comes in the form of love for expression, because creation doesn't come generally from chaos. The chaos creates reflection. The reflection generates emotion, and the emotion draws us together. Draws us to hold together and to outwardly appreciate how incredible this is. They tick by fast. The now moments are here, and if you're not in constant awe of every moment of your life, then to me, I hope the Imaginarium takes us all there.